Today's video is gonna be a bit different from my usual content, but there's a solid reason for that. The P2 laser from XTool, right behind me. Now, I'm no laser expert, and although I've been using this machine for a while now, I still consider myself more of a hobbyist than a seasoned pro. So this isn't a formal review, it's my personal take, first impression, and a few handy tips about working with the laser. If you are into DIY projects, fixing or making things rather than just buying new ones, and you are considering getting a laser, then my experience might come in handy. Most of the projects on my channel are complete builds with custom PCBs and closures and everything. I have FDM and resin printers, a CNC router, various power tools and a whole bunch of hand tools to make this happen. That already opens a ton of possibilities, but the laser I recently got access to has taken my workshop to a whole new level. So if you happen to catch this video in the future, you'll probably see projects on my channel where the laser ends up playing a key part, just to be clear from the start. I got this laser from the manufacturer. Even though they sent it to me for free, they have absolutely no influence on what I say here. I was given complete creative freedom, which I totally get since there's hardly any room for complaining, though I still might nitpick a bit, just a bit. Let's start at the beginning with the delivery. The laser arrived on a pallet, and I've got to say, it is huge.
That's what she said!
It weighs around 45 kilos, or about 100 pounds, so unpacking it took a bit of muscle, and ideally a second pair of hands. So yeah, don't follow my lead and try doing it solo like I did. The box was rock solid, packed with plenty of foam and protective padding. Right out of the box, you can tell that this thing is built to last. It features a sturdy plastic exterior with a metal interior, a large lid with a viewing window, and smooth gas springs that lifts and holds the lid up. Size-wise, it's about 1 meter wide and over a ½ meter deep. Roughly a footprint of a large format printer or a washing machine. The package comes with everything needed to kick off your P2 adventure. After unpacking, you'll find a few screws to remove since some moving parts inside of the laser are secured for transit. You'll also need to open access panel at the back to pour in the coolant for the laser tube. Depending on how cold your workshop gets, you might have to mix antifreeze with distilled water. There's a chart on the bottle and in the manual that tells you the exact proportions. If you live in Florida, plain distilled water will do, but where I am, winters can get pretty cold, so I had to add a bit of antifreeze. Once the coolant was added, I powered the laser up for the first time. The final check before beginning was to ensure the mirrors were properly aligned. The laser beam is directed from the tube to the head via several mirrors. Although the mirrors are factory calibrated, they can shift during transport. So it's important to verify this before you begin. You can find a step-by-step adjustment guide on both XTool website and their YouTube channel. And that's it. The laser is set for its first cut. But before we dive in, let's talk a bit about CO2 laser technology. CO2 lasers differ from more common diode lasers in both power and wavelength. While 40 watts is considered high for diode laser, CO2 laser starts at that level and can reach even several hundred watts. Another key difference lies in type of materials being processed. CO2 lasers really shine with plastics. They are perfect for cutting or engraving acrylic. With diode lasers, the acrylic is essentially invisible because light just passes straight through. The same applies to the glass. A CO2 laser can engrave it to create a frosted effect, whereas a diode laser will either reflect off the surface or passes through without leaving a mark. As for cutting glass, that's a whole different ballgame. I'll come back to that in a minute. The range of materials a CO2 laser can handle is extensive. Wood, plywood, MDF, acrylic, glass, leather, paper, fabric, cork, rubber, laminates, you name it. And this versatility is one of the greatest advantages of CO2 lasers. Of course, every rose has its thorn. CO2 lasers aren't perfect either. They are larger, heavier, and require more maintenance than a compact diode lasers. You've got to manage cooling systems and sometimes optic tweaks. Sure, P2 fits on the desk, as you can see, but it's not exactly portable or something you can shove into the closet after use. Then there's the cost. These machines aren't cheap, and the glass CO2 tube will eventually wear out, typically lasting a few thousand hours before its power starts to drop. For casual use, it should last at least a few years, but keep that in mind. Lastly, one inherent limitation. A CO2 laser, in general, isn't designed for cutting metals. You'd need a fiber laser with several hundred watts for that. With CO2 laser, you can however engrave on a painted or anodized metal by burning off the surface layers to reveal the design. But if you are looking to cut metal parts, this isn't tool for you. By the way, as I'm recording this, XTool just announced an absolute beast of a fiber welder and cutter that handles metal like it's nothing. I'm totally getting one. Someday. Now let's dive into the star of the show, the XTool P2 laser cutter. XTool packed this model with cool features to make life easier, especially for someone like me, who's just getting started with lasers. The P2 laser has a 55 watts cutting power and a working area approximately 600 x 300 x 20 mm. But that's just part of the story. You can slide material in from the front and feed it out the back, meaning you can work with pieces as long as you like. XTool even offers a lifting accessory called the riser base, along with a conveyor feeder, allowing you to work with projects of virtually unlimited length, far beyond what most enclosed desktop lasers offer. What's more, this laser has no bottom, so technically you could engrave objects as tall as you want. In my case, the workbench gets in the way, but if I ever really need to, I might just cut a hole in it. One of the coolest features of the XTool P2 is its two built-in cameras and dual distance sensors. The first camera, mounted on the machine's enclosure, gives you a live wide view angle of your work area, so you can see exactly what's going on. The second camera, for close-up shots, sits on the laser head. Since it can be placed directly above the cutting area, there's no parallax, which makes setup super precise. As for the distance sensors, one gives you an approximate measurements of material thickness to help you with parallax correction for wide-angle view, while the other provides precise readings. This eliminates the need for manual measurements. Just place the material inside, click measure here, and you are good to go. Additionally, the sensor allows for 3D scanning, meaning the P2 can generate a height map of the surface and accurately engraved on a curved or uneven surface. Another cool feature is batch engraving. You can scatter several identical pieces on the work area, set up the design on one, and the software will automatically apply it to all the rest. I haven't used this much myself due to the scale of my projects, but it's pretty nifty to have. The build quality on the XTool P2 is top-notch. The casings feels really solid. No creaks, no rattles. The lid features a large acrylic window that protects you from the laser beam. You can watch the process inside without worrying about your eyes. It also has a lid open hull sensor and electromechanical lock that physically prevents the lid from being opened during the cutting or engraving. As a father to a 4-year-old, I greatly appreciate these features. There is also the option to install an external automatic fire suppression system. This system monitors the chamber with multiple sensors, If the fire is detected, it automatically cuts off the main power and releases a suppressant into the chamber. It's definitely one of those things that's great to have and actually use, which is exactly why I have zero excuse for not installing it after all these months. And of course, there's also the emergency stop button. But here's my one gripe. Why it is so tucked away? Why isn't it proudly placed on the front where you can easily reach it? If you ask me, a big red button would actually make a whole machine look even more impressive and professional. It's nothing major, of course, but still, I think it's worth mentioning. Now, let me show you what this laser can do, and trust me, it can do a lot. Let's start gently, with paper and cardboard. Nothing too surprise here. Quick tip for lightweight materials like paper. Secure them with tape, so air assist doesn't blow them away. Self-adhesive sheets and films aren't a problem either. They are perfect for making stickers. With the right power and speed settings, the laser cuts cleanly through the sticker layer while leaving the backing untouched. Ideal for making Batman stickers for my kid. As you can see, he's really into Batman these days. PS, check out my channel for that project called Glow Switch. I made it using P2 Laser as well. Next up is plywood, a popular material for both cutting and engraving. You can make a cool boxes or festive decoration out of it. I've got a piece of pine wood that's over 18 mm thick. According to the manufacturer, it should be able to handle it. Yep, it did the job. No fuss, no struggle. Nail it without breaking a sweat. And here's a neat trick for wood engraving, both solid and plywood. You can easily transform your regular engraving into something that really pops. All you need is borax. Mix it with water, put it on the surface, let it dry and boom. Instant visual improvement. Acrylic is exactly the reason why you'd buy CO2 Laser. The manufacturer claims that the P2 can cut through 20 mm thick transparent acrylic. No way, right? I'm not gonna pretend I'm surprised. I already tested it before, so I knew it can handle it. But still, it's seriously impressive. Glass, however, is a whole different animal. No laser will neatly cut it. It's not just about power or type. Glass melts around 1500 degrees of Celsius, while acrylic melts at only 220 to 250 degrees. Another issue is that the glass is fragile. If it doesn't heat evenly, it will crack. So, while cutting glass isn't really feasible, you can definitely engrave it, and the engraved areas gets a cool frosted look. Alright, so we've more or less covered the materials. Now the question is, how is the precision? The manufacturer claims that the P2 has accuracy of 0.01 mm. But what does this really mean? Well, let's test it out. I'm gonna try engrave something on a toothpick. On honestly, for what I'm using it for, I don't think I'll ever need more precision than that. To demonstrate the workflow from importing the design to producing the final product, I decided to create a simple nightlight with Halloween theme. You can create your design using any software you are comfortable with. The best tool is the one you know the best. And regardless of your choice, it can be important to XTool Creative Space. I'm sure of it. For simple projects, you might not even need another app, and I'll prove it to you. Let's say you want that lamp to be shaped like a pumpkin with some text inside. You could grab a graphic like that of Google, or use one of those trendy AI tools to generate something custom, whatever suits your style. I'm going with the AI option, just to steer clear of any copyright issues. When you are happy with the design, set your cutting and engraving parameters. You can use the built-in materials library to find a close match and tweak the settings. Or, and I highly recommend this, run a test sample. It makes dialing the right power and speed much easier, and it will save you a ton of time in the long run. I'm using 5mm acrylic for my lamp, but any fully transparent material will work. It doesn't really matter where you place your material, though it helps if it's roughly aligned with the X or Y axis. You get a general view from wide-angle camera, but for precise placement, so you don't waste acrylic, use the camera mounted on the laser head. Once your design is set, all that's left is send it to the laser. But before you hit start, run simulation. The order of operations is super important. Make sure engraving happens before cutting. Otherwise, you'll end up engraving a free-floating piece, which is never a good thing. When everything looks good, you can give it a go. The last step is putting it all together and checking out the finished project. In real time, without any lengthy explanation, the whole process took me about 10 minutes. And this speed and cleanliness are what sets the laser cutting and engraving apart from the CNC routing. So, who is the XTool P2 laser for, and am I happy with it? Honestly, I'm blown away by capabilities it's brought to my workshop. Projects that once seemed out of reach because doing them by hand was just impossible can now be done right at my home. The laser turned out to be super user-friendly for a beginner. The intuitive software, automatic thickness measurements and positioning camera removed a lot of the guesswork. If you are just getting started with lasers, I think the P2 is really friendly option, since practically does a lot of work for you and forgives minor mistakes. Of course, I have to mention the costs. This isn't a budget toy. It's priced for a serious hobbyist or a small businesses, but you are paying for top-notch build quality, safety and host of features. If you are considering buying one, feel free to check out the affiliate link below. To sum up, the XTool P2 is one seriously impressive machine, perfect for creative people looking to take their projects to the next level. As an engineer, designer and creator myself, I truly feel that this device has opened a whole new world of possibilities for me. And that's it. Thanks for sticking around till the end, and see you in the next video.